Hello, and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today I want to talk about the value of the Xbox Series X versus the PlayStation 5. So, as you know, both consoles have now been out for 6 months. We have PlayStation that has came out of the gate with exclusives for the PlayStation 5. Granted, some of those were also back. Well, I guess they're not exclusive to PlayStation 5 if they're on the PlayStation 4, right? So that definitely drops the lineup of first-party exclusives that were for the PlayStation 5 at launch. Xbox didn't really have anything exclusive out of the gate for the Xbox Series X. So, I mean, some could say, well, if it doesn't have any games, then why did it need to come out? I mean, I get that argument. I definitely get that argument. But if so I mean, like we know the exclusive things. COVID kind of screwed everything up. Kind of had a whole bunch of games pushed back. I mean, Xbox wasn't the only console that pushed back exclusives. I mean, we're not getting Gran Turismo this year. That got pushed back to next year. I don't understand why they still couldn't get that out, this year. They teased us with God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn. And they haven't said they're not coming out this year, so I'm pretty sure they are still coming out this year. I mean, that would only make sense. I mean, why let people get to the end of the year and be like, oh, yeah, never mind, we're not doing that. I mean, at least Microsoft stood up and said, hey, you know what? The fans are right. The fans are what matters. We're going to fix this. We're going to make it the best we can make, and we're going to need another year to do that. That's awesome. I'm fully on board with them doing that. Yeah, it definitely sucks. I mean, this is the first Halo game that I've actually been like, whoa, dude, I kind of want to play that. So I was kind of hyped for it. But the fact that we're not getting it until the end of the year, that doesn't change anything. I've never really been a major Halo fan. I didn't really start liking Halo till Halo Reach. So that really doesn't bug me as much as, say, like Gran Turismo 7 not coming out this year. That bugged me way more than Halo getting pushed back. So that's that on that. So but now if we take it at face value, what Xbox has offered versus what PlayStation 5 has offered, we're going to find out which console actually, has provided the most value and which one hasn't and has grown stale. So, at this time, the only thing we really have to look forward to from Sony right now that we know of is Ratchet and Clank. That is the biggest profile title that will be here before the start of E3 when we find out the rest of the year. Both Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo have been pushed toward the end of the year. So basically all we really have to look forward to is Ratchet and Clank at the beginning of next month until E3 or Sony's next State of Play to tell us what more they have planned for the last half of the year. Then we have, on the other side, Xbox. Well, Xbox really hasn't done a whole lot in the beginning of the generation. But the backward compatibility has been 100 times better than anything Sony has done. So the only reason I talk about this, the only reason I'm even bringing this up or making a point about the value of each console is because today Naughty Dog dropped a tweet saying that we can now experience The Last of Us 2 at 60 frames a second on our PlayStation 5. Okay, great. Yeah, cool. I mean, that's but my first response was, that's it? Really? Only 60 FPS? We don't get any better resolution. We don't get any better, visuals, nothing. So let's go back to 2018, okay? We got Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro, right? We got Shadow of the Tomb Raider, PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4 and Xbox. We got Forza Horizon 4 that month as well. So we got these 3 games, and I think we got Assassin's Creed. We got Assassin's Creed Odyssey around that same time too. So, out of those 4 games, 3 of them have been upgraded. Like they've actually had like some sort of upgrade. Okay, you got Spider-Man, got a complete overhaul upgrade for the PlayStation 5, and that cost you $20. You had to buy it with the Miles Morales pack, or you had to pay $20 more to upgrade the Miles Morales pack. Then you got Shadow of the Tomb Raider. It got a 60 FPS boost from FPS Boost on the Xbox for free. Didn't cost you a dime, and now that game will run at 4K, 60 frames a second, with very minor drops. I mean, in my playthrough that I've been playing, I haven't really noticed anything that everybody else is saying is there. So I cannot personally confirm that, but there's other people that have said it has happened. So we'll take them at their word for it. But it was free. It was free, and it works, and it looks amazing, and it feels good for what I played on it. Then you have Forza Horizon 4. Came out the same time Spider-Man did. It got a 60 frames a second upgrade. It got PC highest quality settings. It did get a little bit cut back, like the shadows at night when you're driving behind the car. You can't see the shadows being cast everywhere anymore. That kind of sucks. I wish that was still there. I wish that they would have taken the time to make that still happen. And maybe they'll patch it, maybe they won't. I don't know. I mean, Microsoft has been actually pretty good about upgrading older games. So those games all came out at the beginning of 2018, right? They're all 3 the same age. They all came out in September, I believe. So you have those 3 games that came out in September. All 3 of them have been upgraded. 2 of them upgraded on Xbox for free. The other one you had to pay $20 to get it upgraded, and you still can't play Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider on your PlayStation 5 at 60 frames a second at 4K. That's not possible. It's only possible on the Xbox. So right there, that's already a $40 value over the PlayStation 5. Well, that's a $60 value over the PlayStation 5, because I mean, you didn't have to pay for the Spider-Man, but they still take a negative $20 for, charging you $20 for a game you already bought. And if you were like me, you already bought Spider-Man, and you bought all 3 DLCs, but you bought all 3 DLCs separately. You didn't buy the season pass. Why I did that, I don't know. I wanted to see what the first DLC was going to be like, and then I bought the rest because it was pretty good. So then you fast forward, to the next game that Sony upgraded to 60 frames a second, which was Ratchet and Clank. That one was free, but all it got was a 60 frames a second update, right? And then you get other games, like Final Fantasy, which is a third-party developer that's doing a free upgrade, to the PlayStation 5 version if you bought the PlayStation 4 version and didn't download the PS Plus version when they gave it to you. If you downloaded the PS Plus version, you still have to pay for the upgrade. You still have to pay for the game in full. So there's that at least. But the next game we get to is Days Gone. They bumped that to 60 frames a second. You got Ghost of Tsushima. You got that bumped to 60 frames a second. And now you got The Last of Us 2 bumped to 60 frames a second. Okay, they haven't done anything with Gran Turismo. No 120 frames a second, FP or boost or anything like that for Gran Turismo Sport, but they are still supporting it, and that game's actually going to be the game used in the Olympics, which is interesting. Like, you would think they would want to put their best foot forward and upgrade that game and put it on the PlayStation 5 so that it looks amazing. I mean, it does look amazing, but looks amazing. So basically, when it comes to backwards compatibility, PlayStation is giving you just enough to get by. Nothing else. They have they have made it so it's harder for developers to go in and like adjust code and give it better, stuff on the PlayStation 5, whereas Xbox is a seamless experience from start to finish. You buy a game on Xbox One, if it gets an Xbox Series X upgrade, Smart Delivery will automatically deliver that to you. Xbox designed it in a way so that developers could upgrade and enhance their games without the headache of having to build a native app for the Xbox Series X. Whereas on the PlayStation 5, if a developer wants to support that console, they have to develop a native app for that game. So, in the process of that, there have been other games that have come out that have gotten, next-gen ports or versions or whatever. You had Devil May Cry and Control Ultimate Edition. Both of those games were resold at $40 a piece if you wanted the next-gen upgrade. I did buy both of those. I bought them both on the Xbox. So, basically, if you wanted those upgrades that Sony made it so they had to be upgraded that way, then you had to pay for those again. Whereas if they would have had something similar to Xbox, I don't think we would have had to pay for those upgrades. And I really hope developers call Sony on that and show their willingness to upgrade these games without having to charge you. Because I get it, like Wreckfest. You have to pay for the upgrade on both consoles. Here's another thing that's really irritating. Well, Sony developed the way for these guys to have to be able to rebuild this game for the new console and then charge you. And then Sony steps in behind and says, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give that game that I made you, that I made it so you had to upgrade. I'm going to go ahead and give that away free on PS Plus so that the Xbox guys have to still pay for that upgrade fee. But it's been pretty cool because those same developers that have done that, they've put those games on Game Pass as well. So you can just play them on Game Pass. So, but now with Wreckfest, you have to pay $10 to upgrade this game, which, I mean, the PlayStation 5 version, if that's the upgrade path that the Xbox is going to take, yeah, definitely. That's more than worth $10. That looks really good. I really enjoy that. They did, Big Bugbear did come back and do an upgrade for that to like adjust, how because the roads when you were driving, when I first downloaded it, it didn't look like they were loading in. They looked all blurry. Everything out in the distance looked blurry, but now it looks really good. It looks amazing now, actually. They fixed that. And if the PlayStation version can look that good, I can only imagine how much better the Xbox Series X version is going to run and play this game. Because the PlayStation 5 version does drop frames. When you get next to a bunch of cars and stuff, you can see it dropping frames. It hits it pretty hard. It does kind of drop the performance pretty good. So I'm curious to see if the Xbox Series X version is going to be able to run that more consistently. And that's been the case lately. Like you're starting to see that little gap. I mean, it's nothing big or nothing like 5 frames a second or whatever. As soon as PlayStation puts out the VRR support, like that's not even going to be a problem if you have a VRR TV. Like that's going to be just fine. But I don't want the developers to have to rely on that as a crutch because, I mean, we all know that's possible. These games are going to start getting more visually enhanced and stuff, and they're going to start looking a lot better. But we are starting to see that divide of games. Like when the consoles first came out, the PlayStation was holding its own really, really good against the Xbox, and in some cases performing even a little better because the Xbox system was kind of new for developers and they're still trying to use it or learn it. But the majority of those games that came out running better on PlayStation are now running just as good or not, if not better on the Xbox Series X because of the, being patched and stuff like that. So that gap is definitely starting to widen. We're starting to see, a lot of developers shoot for 1800p on the PlayStation 5 where they're hitting 4K. On the Xbox Series X, and I'm thinking that's about where this generation is going to end up. A lot of games are going to be. A lot of games are going to be 1440p to 1800p on the PlayStation 5 and checkerboard rendered up to 4K. That's fine. Like checkerboard does, it depends on the game. It depends on the game how it looks. Sometimes it looks really fuzzy and really blurry, and I don't like it. And sometimes it works. It works. Like the temporal injection that oh gosh, Insomniac uses is freaking amazing. I love that. It's great. Like Spider-Man looks amazing. Like this game looks really good. I really like the temporal injection because it makes the 4K and everything look more dense, whereas the checkerboard makes everything not look. It doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't look as good. Like Insomniac's solution is freaking amazing. It looks beautiful. I actually need to turn my PlayStation 5 on so I can download that update. I never leave it on. I never leave it on because if we have a power surge or something, then I got to rebuild the database. And that is so annoying. Like my PlayStation 4 Pro did it so many times that it started screwing it up, and like that was really frustrating. Like that bugged me so much that it was doing that. It would start having to be rebuilt all the time. Ooh, hi PlayStation. Go ahead and download your update. Yeah, so I am really excited to play this, The Last of Us 2 in 60 FPS because that's going to be cool, but I really wish that PlayStation would have went out of their way to enhance the visual experience. 1440p is 1440p. And we know that the PlayStation 5 is a more capable machine. If they could get The Last of Us 2 to look as good as it did on the PS4 Pro, I see no reason why this PlayStation 5 can't do a lot better with 6 extra teraflops of performance that are on a better technology that's way more performant per teraflop. I do not see why Sony cannot invest the money to make these games look and run better than they already do. That's disappointing to me because I love my PlayStation first party exclusives. Like I love them. If they upgrade the visuals or the frame rates or anything like that, I definitely would love to play through some of these games again because that's a different experience than the one I've already had. So being able to re-experience that with better visuals and better frame rate and stuff, that's worth playing through a game again for me. And normally you don't get that. Like normally Sony games are one and done. I usually just play them one time and then never play them again because I like to savor that initial feeling that I had while playing these games was just so good and so immense and so fulfilling the first time that I rarely ever have to play them again. God of War I did play again because I love that game, the journey with the boy, and like I love that. It was great. Corey Balrog did a freaking amazing job with that game. I love the way that God of War grew up with me. Like I love that. Like I remember playing God of War when I was in my 20s and it was great, And then I get, into my 40s, and now Kratos is a dad, like me. Like I love that. I loved Corey's vision for God of War. I love that. It definitely was. It was definitely perfect for the time and for how I was, feeling at that time. The Last of Us 2, I do like the game. I did start liking Abby about halfway through her story. I didn't really like her at first, but when you look at the game from after playing both sides of it, you kind of just start to have, that feeling for both teams. And like I see where Neil was going with this story. Like I understand how he wanted it to come together now, like in my mind, and after playing through it twice, like I get it. And the second playthrough is even better because you already care about Abby. So when you're playing through it, it's the emotions are a lot different. The emotions and the feelings that you're feeling, like it is a good game. I really, really appreciate how how they did it tastefully without making it seem like it. I mean, I guess you could say it is kind of with the fad with the way things are going. But I mean, we're like, if you look at the last 4 years, like things were just crazy. Like people weren't acting like the way people act normally. Before that, I mean, the disturbance, for the last 4 years has just been something that's taught us all a lot about ourselves, I believe, and I hope we learned some good lessons and we can move forward with that. I mean, this is freaking America, I don't think anybody should feel second class to anybody else, period. I don't care who you are. You shouldn't have to feel second class to anybody. Doesn't matter just be who you are and be you and do you and, live in harmony the best you can. I mean, me, I bury myself in work and then my home life and my video games, and that's how I deal with everything. That's how I deal with the world. Is I try to just be me and be myself and be nice and be good to everybody. Just be good to everybody. And life usually works itself out. I mean, we're all in the same boat together. We all got to live, together, and why not make the best of it? But let's get back to this PlayStation versus Xbox thing. Like, and that goes for the whole console wars thing too. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to enjoy and play both consoles, or even the Nintendo Switch, for heck's sake. I mean, the Nintendo Switch is an amazing console. I mean, I don't play it. I played Breath of the Wild. I really liked that game. I loved playing that. And I mean, we got Biomutant coming up next week, and it was confirmed today in the FAQs that this game is going to get a next gen version. I didn't know if I don't think they've confirmed if you're gonna have to pay for it or not. But seeing as it's so close and the next gen versions are already out, I'm pretty sure they're not going to go out of their way to screw fans. They probably will make these versions free upgrades. Well, they better if you bought it now, they better. I would be very disappointed with that company. Very disappointed. So it is confirmed we will be getting that. So it's definitely going to be good. I'm pretty pumped now. I'm pretty hyped for this game. Knowing that it will get next gen support and possibly have some support out of the gate for the Xbox Series X, because smart delivery would make it so they could already have some stuff in there that it could take advantage of, which will be awesome. I will really appreciate that. So, my honest opinion when it comes to which one is the better value, for me right now, that's going to be the Xbox. The Xbox is the better value. The games are still $60 for the most part. Everything is definitely taking more. There's taken the Xbox feels more like a smart machine, whereas the PlayStation 5 just kind of feels dumb. Like, you turn on the Xbox and you load your game. If you deleted it, you load it back on there and it downloads your save file right there at the same time. Like, right when you turn the game on, your save file downloads. On the PlayStation, it doesn't do that. You got to go into the thing and you got to go to the cloud and you got to download the file, because if you start the game before that and save, then it uploads and it screws up your other save. Your save's gone. Like, happened to me with Dark Souls 3. I'm so freaking mad about that. I beat that game and I wanted to go through on New Game Plus and it was gone because I had deleted the game. That really made me so mad. I just don't. I don't feel like the PlayStation has all of the features that it's going to have, toward the end of its life, and it really sucks because that storage bay should be unlocked. Even if you put the wrong kind of SSD in there, like a lower performant SSD, it should still let you save PS4 games to it and play them off of that. Like, I don't see why that shouldn't be a thing. I mean, if you can't afford the $200 for a terabyte of super fast SSD, I mean, at least you can get one that you can put in there and still play PlayStation 4 games on. Like, it doesn't make sense that they wouldn't allow that to happen. I think there might be something going on with that bay. But in my opinion, right now the Xbox does produce a better value for your money. Because if you get an Xbox Series X, you can buy Game Pass for $15 a month, and that has more than enough games to keep you busy for a while. And new games are added every week. If it seems like there's always something new. You get better backwards compatibility. You get enhanced backwards compatibility. You get smart access or smart delivery that makes things just smooth. The Xbox Series X is such a seamless experience. It's not even funny. Like, it's not even close. I mean, the PlayStation 5 basically does what the PlayStation 5 is supposed to do. I mean, and that it works fine at it. It feels, I don't know. I don't like, it's kind of boring. Like, the PlayStation 5, in my opinion, it's a little boring. It needs to, whereas the Xbox just, gosh, man, it feels better to me. So this video is already 26 minutes long. I am going to leave you with that and maybe do a part 2 on this, a little bit later, so that we can talk more. I want to see how this video does. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. I'm thinking about doing something kind of interesting after I hit the 100 subscriber mark, as a kind of a celebration. I'm getting pretty close, so if you like this content and you want more, like and subscribe. I definitely appreciate everybody that comes and listens to what I have to say. I definitely want to be here for the community, and I definitely want to help to see things go in the right direction. I really love playing video games, and I want to be able to share that with as many people as possible. So thank you, and we'll see you in the next one.